Level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, and I'm joined by Richard. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
It's been a couple weeks, I think. Back.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've been out in the bush. That's our job, right? I mean, kind of, sort of like.
Well,
yeah.
I wish that was my job.
That's very true. Yeah. No, full time. That would be great. You know, I was thinking about it the other day as I was sitting. I was very fortunate to be able to take basically the whole week of Thanksgiving off. And I was sitting there thinking about, you know, man, just so fortunate to be able to do as much of this as, you know, hunting as we really almost kind of as we want to do. And I started thinking about, God, you know, we've got kind of like a responsibility to our listeners and to everybody who follows us to, you know, report back what we see, you know, as far as, you know, tried and true methods, you know, maybe you think outside the hunting box, you know.
Think outside the blind.
God. On some stuff, you know, because again, we are able to get out there so much, and so I actually gave that a whirl. That's going to be part of my little spiel today. Oh, so it's a good, good deal.
Well, do you want to start with that, or we want to start somewhere else? I mean,
let's do it. You know, so at Rancho Bandito during the El Thanksgivitito week is typically when the rut is kind of full blast. And again, for the new followers or our non-deer hunters, you know, the rut is a time of year where the whitetail bucks, and really every deer species, you know, is predominantly looking for the ladies. You know, and in Texas, the rut starts in, actually like early October in East Texas. And as you progress further south and west, it just gets later and later. Whereas like for the mule deer out in the Panhandle and the Trans-Pecos, that they start to hit the rut, and they're right about now actually, which is kind of crazy. And, you know, in South Texas is kind of hitting the rut then. So what makes the rut so cool, I guess, and such a good opportunity? Well, it's an opportunity. It can also be very frustrating. Is the fact that the bucks are just a bunch of idiots. I mean, they literally are, and to the point of they are so female
focused.
Focused on the ladies that they just don't act like normal deer. I mean, to the point where, you know, and I highly encourage it if you've got really one of those good deery days, right, where you've got, you know, cloudy and cool and the animals will be out all day. If it's during the rut, man, you're sitting in the house, you're making a mistake. Now, of course, those of us with wives and children that go hunting and all that, you really don't have much of a choice, because if you go out and do all that hunting, then you'll be banned from doing it later, right, potentially. And so,
especially with the younger children.
You know? Yes. But for those of you who do not have that type of scenario, I totally highly recommend getting out and, you know, maybe doing an all day sit, see what you can see. Cause God knows, man, things are alive. Now, of course, if the conditions aren't good, so it's hot and windy or something like that, yeah, you know, probably, you know, wait for a better day. But so one of the things that you can do during the rut that ends up is a really, really great way of attracting, especially bucks, is by using some sort of rattling device. And so during the rut, the male deer, the bucks, will fight for, you know, the right to breed does and things of that nature. It's kind of funny because, you know, whitetail bucks and mule deer bucks will hang out with each other really for a majority of the year until the rut gets there. And when the rut gets there, they're like, man, dude.
Enemies.
Yeah, you best back off. So equate it to this. A bunch of, you know, trash dudes in college at the bar. You know, there's only a handful of females. They kind of walk in like this, collars all popped, and they're all sassy mouthed,
chest raised.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what the deer do. So, anyways, they will clash antlers and they will fight. The cool thing about that is that the fighting actually attracts other bucks, it attracts other deer. Now, and so that there's a method of going out there, and it's called rattling. And rattling, you can do several different types of rattling devices. Now, of course, the original one are, hey, go figure, shed antlers. Yeah, that's
don't argue with nature.
Yeah, don't argue with nature. But now it's kind of funny. You can't go out there in the field and find a pair of antlers that's been out there for a year and clash them together and move the brushing around and expect anything to show up. And the reason why is those antlers have kind of lost their tone, as they've dried out and whatnot, have been chewed on. They've lost it. But if you're able to harvest a buck that's it's got a decent set of antlers on it that you're not going to mount or do something with, cut the brow tines off, cut them off, and use them as rattling antlers. You keep them inside, put a piece like a leather strap between them, and they'll become some really nice little antlers. They'll last you, several years. They've also got rattling devices. By that, I mean they've got little bags with all kinds of stuff in them, so on and so forth. So I guess it was my my October Sportsman's Box.
Yep, October.
I got a little rattling bag. And the thing, it's a rubber device that's probably, 3 inches long. Okay. And it's filled with these little plastic deals that are kind of hollow. And sure enough, when you rub your hands together, with them, they make a pretty loud, a crashing sound. And it really sounds pretty damn good. So, I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to throw in my bag. Again, this is the great thing we love about the Sportsman's Box. I probably wouldn't have gone out there and bought one of these little devices just because I just wouldn't have. But now I've got one, and it's very portable. So guess what? It's going to remain in my whitetail hunting bag for the foreseeable future. So I decided to give it a whirl. It's two separate times, and I was stunned. Absolutely stunned. So much fun. So basically what had happened is we were up there in the blind, and we've got deer, going this way, going that way. Well, eventually the dumb bucks had chased off all the does. And so I've probably got 30, 45 minutes left before shooting light. And I said, you know what the hell? I've got nothing in front of me. Let's give it a whirl. Let's see if I can call something back into range. Sure enough, and I'm in the blind, it's the insulated hunting blind. Okay, so it's not like I'm out there in the bush. I clash this bag together, and it gets pretty darn loud.
Did you do it like in the blind, or did you stick your hands outside the window?
I did it inside the blind.
Okay.
I did it inside the blind, and I do it randomly. You don't want to go.
Right.
It's just like calling predators. You really want to change it up because that's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
So I went crash, 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 crash.
Mm-hmm.
And sure as hell, within about 8 to 10 minutes, I have 2 bucks come literally blowing out of the bushes right up to the blind, looking for the 2 deer that were fighting. So it was so cool, and it was actually kind of cool because I had a young hunter with me, and he got to see it as well, which was really neat. Fast forward a couple of days later.
Well, did those 2 that ran in, did they fight each other, or did they just keep?
They did not fight each other.
Okay.
They did not fight each other. Fast forward a couple of days later, conditions were absolutely poop. I mean, they were horrible. Windy, hot. I was in my traditional tank top and blue cutoff shorts that you're probably familiar with seeing me. It's one of my Rancho Bandito signature outfits.
It's amazing Texas hunting weather, really hot and like gym shorts and a tank top or whatever.
And nothing says late November hunting like a tank top. I mean, it's insanity. Anyway, I was so comfortable. Here I am thinking to myself, God, am I really going to shoulder my rifle and shoot a deer in my tank top? I mean, this is crazy. So anyway, kind of the same scenario. I had a handful of does come in, and which that's kind of another little tip for you. If if you're interested in trying to get a female crazed buck, and an area where you've got a lot of doe showing up, that's a great place to go and actually do some rattling, because it's just if you got, it's all the ingredients, right? If you got the does during the rut, you're gonna have the bucks. If they're rutting and whatnot, they're gonna be fighting. So give it a whirl. But back to my little scenario. Had a handful of does, had an 8-point come in. He chased them off. I'm like, well, here we go, back to nothing. Well, the 8-point ended up coming back, and he was earning feeder. Decent little 8-point, 3.5 years old, nothing to write home about, but good future prospect. I noticed him start to kind of raise his head, and when bucks when they get aggressive with other deer, they kind of move real slowly. They look kind of funny, and they'll put their ears back. And I was kind of, I don't know that he necessarily saw this deer, but we had a south wind. I think he smelled him, and sure as hell, here comes this big, probably 5.5. Yes, I should have shot him. 5.5-year-old. He looked like a loaf of bread, just square, lumpy, big dude. And they had been for weeks, so this guy was probably still 200 pounds. Wow. And he looked that thin, or he still looked that big. Mm-hmm. He came in, same thing, all with his ears all pinned back, and they literally kind of just walked around each other, and just like you see on the show, they just boom, they collided. And the force. I mean, I've seen this a bunch of times, but it's been a while since I've seen it that close. I was inside 50 yards. It was intense, dude. God, it was so cool. That's awesome. And they went at it for I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. Nothing big, but after the fight was over, the little 8-point got away, and the bigger guy, he kind of did this, or his mouth is all open, and he does the snort wheeze, which is kind of like the dude. How you like? Yeah. Of course, he was gassed. The guy's been running, probably not eating a lot. And then, sure enough, after he chased that guy off, he went back and then took a right and ended up going back and just checking the scrape line. But he just was purposely going. That older buck was coming in there to check those, see what was going on.
Now that old buck, what did his rack look like?
It was pretty pitiful. I mean, he's probably 5.5 years old. He's maybe 15 inches. So at Rancho Bandito, even though the county we're in is antler restrictions, because we are MLDP, managed land deer permits, the antler restrictions do not apply to us. And I actually believe I love antler restrictions. I think they're fantastic. Okay. And I think they're working in a lot of Texas counties. This guy would kind of be the outlier. Okay. This guy, they have to be 13 inches or bigger to kill it. This guy, I mean, I guess he's probably 15 inches, but even if he wasn't, he was just at 13, and he was real tall. He would be one of those deer that's like, oh, dude, you clearly know that's a mature animal, but you couldn't shoot him.
Yeah.
So after that little ruckus, they all walk off, and I actually, again, I pulled out that little rattle bag. Here we go. Now I got 20 minutes for dark, and I just, crushed it together. Well, maybe once or twice, nothing big, and I had a buck come running down the road. Different deer, never even saw him. So again, that's kind of a long-winded deal there, but it's a couple of, I think, important little stories that help you kind of see the different scenarios on how you can use that.
Right. Well, while we're kind of on that subject of using tools to maybe call in some bucks, what are your thoughts on the grunt tubes? We got. I think you probably got it too.
Yep.
In one of the last couple Sportsman's boxes, that grunt tube.
Yeah, they say you're supposed to use the antlers and the grunt tube, and that they make a snort wheeze thing now to kind of use them all together. I mean it where guys won't use antlers, they'll just use grunts for pre-rut, because bucks will go around just kind of and some kind of vocalization. I've used it a couple of times. I actually used it on a fawn. It's hysterical. I had a fawn walking right underneath my blind, and I get my grunt tube out now. I extend the tube the whole way. I was like, "Meh," and it just scared the stuffing out of me. Really, really funny. But I as a practice, I don't use mine nearly enough, and I think maybe the reason why is I learned the hard way. On my grunt tube, I know not to like blow out calls, but on this one, I mean, you add a little bit of pressure to it, it starts to get real squeaky on you really quick. So I probably just need to get a new one. But yeah, I think that there's a time and a place for all of them that can be used, rattling antlers and grunt tubes.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So you didn't shoot that old guy.
No,
Didn't shoot.
no, and in reality, it was such a frustrating week. We had one of our good buddies, his son, trying to get a deer, and we gave him a couple of targets, and I mean, he chased him the whole week. I mean, literally the whole week. And then finally on Saturday, they were able to seal the deal. One of the blinds at Rancho Bandito that, and this was, I was kudos to my buddy because, he had been chasing these several deer and he'd been going the same blind and feeder combination for a week. He finally said, "You know what, dude, I'm tired of it. I'm going to change it up." Went to a blind and feeder that's right near the house. It's nothing wrong with it. It's a great blind. But it's got great visibility. You can see forever, So he brought his rattling bag as well. He's a Sportsman's Box guy too. So he had the same thing. And sure enough, he actually used it. Now that didn't call him the deer that his son shot, but it did help bring in some other deer that, I mean, who knows, that may have done it. But yeah, I mean, as far as deer hunting is concerned, the week of Thanksgiving just kind of sucked. And then the weather was horrible too, God knows. But he was able to shoot a really nice manager buck. I think it was because he's a 10-pointer. But the thing about this guy is he was probably 16 inches, not very tall whatsoever, a decent mass. He's probably 5 years old. I mean, that's a telltale buck that you really want to get out of the herd, and a great one for a kid. So yeah. It was definitely a win-win. The crazy thing was we put him on the scale. He's 200 pounds. He's 200 pounds, which means that some of the pictures I was looking at him, he was probably tipping 220, 230.
Yeah, that's pretty big for that crazy area, right?
Oh, yeah. That's real big. So, and we've killed some deer inside the high fence. Obviously, they're that big, but even outside the high fence, that one I made that real long shot on, that real old 6-year-old was the 220 pounds. So, but yeah, it's still pretty big. So,
yeah, I mean, you're talking about how tough the hunting was all week, and
yes,
you pretty much attribute that probably to the weather.
The weather was awful.
And I guess maybe rutting conditions too, where
yes, there's no doubt.
The bucks were chasing everything. Nothing was feeling comfortable. Maybe
no. I mean the combination of the wind and the heat. Okay, 75, 80 degrees. Man, that's rough. That's rough on them. Mm-hmm. Now, funny enough, on one of those afternoons, and I didn't do it. I should have done it. I was actually thinking about hunting over water, because I knew that the deer had just been running to death. And so I thought, man, that may be a good spot to, get in one of our UTVs, make sure the wind is right and back up against an oak tree on one of our little stock tanks and see what happens.
So no one sat in that new location of the front?
Yep. Yeah. One of the guys this weekend did and actually shot a deer.
Well, I mean, that week, maybe it would have been.
We didn't. We should have. Definitely should have. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was obviously we had a great time, but it was rough. And it's funny, the duck hunting wasn't much better either. And what kills me with that is, first of all, it's getting dry. It's been getting dry, and we had a ton of rain, filled up the tanks. Which was awesome for duck hunting. Well, now they're starting to dry up. When they start to dry up, it kind of concentrates them a little bit more, but they also get a little bit more spooky. And so I was hunting some of the better tanks, and we had some good mornings when it was 40. I mean, it wasn't cold, but it wasn't 75. Low ceilings, mean we had a lot of fog and stuff like that. Had a little bit of wind. I mean, God, that's a dream. And I mean, there were multiple times I got skunked. It was crazy. But then there were some times where we were when the weather finally turned, because it was kind of crazy at the beginning of the week. It was, again, like I say, it was warm. And then, Thanksgiving through the rest of the weekend, it got into the 50s and the high 30s in the morning, and that's when things improved. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, I joined y'all on that Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yes, you did.
And had a little success Saturday morning, the same day that everyone shot all their.
Oh yeah. Oh, exactly. So it's exhausting.
So it ended up working out.
Oh, it was absolutely exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
so you got a nice little management buck and a black buck antelope as well.
That's right. That is correct. So that's that's some.
Now,
good,
have you
eating there?
You devoured any of the organs from either of those two lucky fellows?
Yeah, today at lunch. Did you see my the picture I texted?
I did.
Yeah, that was the guy's heart, the whitetail's heart.
Nice.
So I had as I said in the text, a hearty lunch.
Yeah, I picked up on that. One of our smarter friends did not, and that's I don't know, it escapes him or what, but I totally picked up on that.
But I will say this: I think I've convinced our friend Den Mother,
yes,
because he took his heart from this weekend, and
Did he?
And he said he's going to cook it up tomorrow night. So
nice, I can't wait.
Maybe I have another convert. Assuming he follows the directions properly, which I
right. Well, I want so
that's pretty good that he could.
You were teaching him.
Yeah,
I thought you were teaching him something with a backstrap. I mean, I came.
No. Yeah, but the good thing about it is, he doesn't have to remember everything that I said after all the booze that we had, because if anyone's
available here.
If anyone's interested in learning how to cook a whitetail or a black buck antelope heart, or probably any kind of heart. I mean, I don't know. Really good whitetail and antelope. The way to do it, just go to feedbandit.com/heart, and that'll take you straight to the recipe that I use.
Yeah.
So, and it's really easy. Obviously, I had made it up for lunch today, so it didn't take too long to do it or anything. So
awesome. Well, like I say, I want to give it a whirl. So, yeah.
Well, if we can, when we get together next, remind me, and I'll, bring one of them down. I mean, assuming unless we, get one there.
Yeah, unless we can shoot one. Yeah.
But I'll bring one just in case. You never know. Yeah. And I mean, I'll do it.
Well, good.
People are missing out.
You're not the only one. Yeah, you're not the only one. I mean, there is a following for organ meat, and it's not just for dog food and hot dogs.
I was gonna say it's not just me and coyotes; it's others as well. Or pigs, possibly,
or hogs. Yeah.
But
all right. Well, speaking of more slaughtering, let's move on to this past weekend. This past weekend was a lot better, I think. Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
well, the weather was great. It was
the weather
was great for deer hunting. Wasn't super cold, but it was comfortably cool.
Yes, it was.
Some good clouds and things of that nature.
Friday morning was actually pretty cold. I mean, our two friends who are little sissies, but they were pretty cold. And it's funny because we have all these vehicles, and both of them own a open air or no windshield, Polaris Ranger and Kawasaki Mule. And I kept telling them, "Hey guys, we got plenty of vehicles that have got windshields." They're all
or you have trucks too if you wanted to be in the warmth.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to get where they were going. So it's tough for me to feel sorry for them. But this past weekend at the Rancho Bandito, we had it was a great weekend. First of all, just be able to finally get together with some guys. We kept it. We kept the numbers low, of course. One of the cool things for me is that we had a lot of the sons come out as well. So we had your boy and two others. So various ages, but the fathers are best of friends. So it was really, really cool to be able to get them out there. And again, it's all about the experience, and one of the boys who's got a lot of hunting under his belt, the older one, he actually ended up telling his dad, he goes, "This is the best weekend of hunting I've ever had." So that was pretty cool. That was really, really cool to hear. And it's you got to keep building on those types of things. So
well, for sure. I was very happy and excited to bring Jeb down.
Sure.
Just him and I, a guys' weekend. Kind of introduce him, to what it's like.
Sure.
Just, the guys being down there together and the other male, kids and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Just it's a little, obviously it's a different dynamic in that sense. And I think it's something that, I know it's something that he loved. He had a great time. When we got back, Laura asked him, "What was your favorite part of the weekend?" He was, "Well, sitting in the deer blind with Daddy." Hearing that, I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like,
nice.
Just as a background for folks, this is the first time I've taken him hunting with me. He is, for obvious reasons. He's only 3.5 years old, but
right.
Sitting in a deer blind with me is significant. It's something he could do right now. It's
Sure.
I don't know. I don't think, at least this year, I would have felt comfortable dove hunting with him as an example, or I'm not going to turkey hunt with him yet or anything like that. But we can sit in one of the deer blinds, and
right.
He did great. He did probably better than I thought he would, and just
sure
how a 3.5-year-old is, as wanting to move around and patient for them, want to be quiet, that type thing. And we talked about it kind of all week leading up to it, and how you had to be quiet. And I'd always say, "Okay, when we're in the blind, you got to talk like this."
Right.
That type thing. And he did great with that. It's, I guess, if we're going into how the weekend went, I before we get to the successes, although I would consider mine a success in its own way.
Oh yeah.
I was not able to shoot anything this weekend, even though I did see multiple targets that should have gone down.
Right.
And that's okay. There'll be more in the future,
Oh yeah.
But it's he was very good with sitting still for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and then of course you get antsy, and whatnot. And I guess the first night we had to get out of the blind 30 minutes early, because we sat there an hour and a half,
right.
fine, and saw a lot of deer.
Yeah.
He loved seeing the deer. Dad, the deer. Even some came up to the blind. I never opened the window.
Right.
And he stayed quiet enough for them to come under the blind. The second night, I had my gun up on a buck, and try to tell him. This is something that I've maybe a tip for folks out there wanting to take their 3.5-year-old. Leading up to this point, I would tell him, "Hey, if I'm going to shoot, you have to wear these earmuffs, because it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud, and okay, okay, Daddy." So we get to the blind, and I kind of put him on him, and I say, "This is what it'll be like." And he's like, "Okay." Well, we get to this point where, I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to shoot this deer." And I'm like, "Okay, here, put on your earmuffs." And he puts them on, and he's like, and I'm like, just hold on a second. And I'm putting my earplugs in, and I have the gun up, and he's kind of sitting there next to me, and I can see he's like fumbling with them, and I'm like, "Just don't touch him. Just hold on a second. Give me like 10 seconds, and let me shoot this deer." So I'm looking at the deer, through my scope, but I'm kind of doing this, this side look kind of thing, and he's pulling them off, and I'm like, ugh. So I got to come back and like, no, we gotta put it back on. And he's like, "No," and at this point he's fighting me, kind of, and I'm like, "Okay, this is not gonna work." And he's like, "No, I want to use those," and he's pointing at, my earplugs.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, fine. And I try to do them and put them in his ear, but they're too big for his ear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, okay. And at this point, he kind of stands up and comes next to me. I'm still having my kind of gun out.
Right.
And he hits the wall, and the deer are like, what is that? And then they run off. Yeah. I'm like, all right. So moral of the story is the lesson I learned was probably every day leading up to this weekend, I should have pulled those earmuffs out and put them on him, let him get used to them. Right. He's not used to that, used to wearing those things and stuff. And say, just keep them on just a little bit, walk them through the whole process and whatnot, rather than just talking to them about it, just to get them kind of comfortable with them. I should have done that. Oh well. Well,
are they the noise canceling ones? Or are they the old school ones?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not the ones where you can actually turn on. He can hear.
Like no. They don't have. No, they don't. They're not like electronic or anything. Okay. They're just. Okay. They're the same thing. The same.
Yeah.
Structure and whatnot, design. Okay. They're just not.
All right, those. Man, I tell you, those things, they've been worth their weight in gold for my girls. Still be able to whisper to them like this, and then be able to hear it. It was great.
Well, I mean, I didn't, I kept them off them until I was ready.
Mm-hmm. So that's true.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one under the belt, and it turned
he got, he got baptized into what it's like to go to a deer
totally,
blind, and
totally, yeah,
and all that.
Huge success. Success.
Yep.
Well, good. Well, I didn't have any children there this weekend. It was, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of nice. Just crazy busy anyway. But one of my buddies and I, we ended up going to one of our blinds that's kind of out there, and it's kind of a far trip from the house, but we love going there, and it's pretty wild and woolly out there, and it wasn't very popular last year for some reason. Still kind of is beyond me as to why that was, but it was certainly the case. So we actually I drive in from Dallas, and we get in the car and go, because it was cooler, and I said, why not? The rut's going on still a little bit. Maybe we can get in there and see what we can see. There's a pretty decent little 6-point that was hanging around out there, and of course I love 6s. So maybe he will be rutting around, and maybe we can get a hold of him. So we head out, and I'd say probably 15 minutes before the feeder goes off, we've got deer. We've got deer way up to the northeast of us. I can see them on top of this little hill. And of course, there's a buck that's chasing them around. Like, all right, that's cool, because this hill kind of funnels into this little funnel, and it brings them down this funnel into kind of where the feeding pen was. But it's been a while since I've actually seen deer from up there come in. But sure enough, we had a buck, up there messing with them. The deer ended up going the other way, but we still actually had about 7 or 8 does and fawns come in down that funnel and basically make it to the feeder pen. And so that was really, really cool, because we see deer in groups of number all the time, but it's been a couple of weeks for me. So it was neat to see kind of the dynamics of a group of does and fawns that big, because they were all mixed bag ages. I mean, you can clearly see the fawns, but our job was to try to pick out the more mature of these 7 or 8 deer. So again, what are some of the kind of the telltale things of looking at does besides body? For me, the does are really the older does are the real good indicator is they're very cautious, and sure as hell we had a couple of does that right when the funnel started to kind of thin out, and it's not open. I mean, you've seen it. It's not open by any stretch of the imagination, but there's the mesquite canopy isn't what it is, kind of back in the funnel. The younger ones come blazing out forward, and the older ones kind of hang behind.
They send their sacrificial fawns
absolutely
to test the waters.
Horrible parenting. Like, go ahead, idiots,
Yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do, whatever. So they come hauling butt out there. And so I kind of kept my eyes on the ones that sure as hell, the ones that came out, you can definitely tell they're a little bit bigger. and so they were kind of milling around. They were starting to feed in this little bottom, and well, the other reason why I like this little funnel on this bottom as well is because it is sloping. You catch a lot of rain down there. When you catch a lot of rain down there, that's where you're going to have a lot of your plant life growing. So there's a ton of forbs in the bottom. So they just sat there and messed around till the feeder went off. So, if I would say probably 10 minutes before the feeder goes off. I thought I was in pretty good shape. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to have all 7 or 8 of them in the feeder pen. I'll be able to evaluate, which one's which, put on a good shot, and we're going to be in great shape. Okay, so, again, 5-10 minutes before the feeder goes off, here comes this just goofy-looking 8-boy, and he's kind of he runs out there and blows them all out. I mean, all 8 of them go right back from whence they came, and I had some choice words for him, so on and so forth. Well, 3 of them ended up coming back, and so it just that never happens. Typically, they'll run, as my dad says, they'll run to the next county before they stop. But these gals didn't. They actually came back, and that buck had kind of run off the other way. So, the feeder had already gone off, so they were definitely making their way in. And anyways, I evaluated them. I knew that at least 2 of the 3 were decent does, and I'm not going to win an oldest doe contest by any stretch of the imagination, but I knew they were mature. And sure as hell, one steps into the clearing, and I end up nailing her. And it just so happens that when I put her down, and the other 2, instead of running away, they actually run right to me. And so I immediately cycle another shell in, and I'm staring at the other mature one and end up putting her down at about 25 yards. So, things got really, really gruesome really, really quick. And, of course, the text messages were, hey, what's going on over there? Is it World War IX? And all that. And, I've kind of had the reputation of not pulling the trigger as much as a lot of my other friends do, so people didn't believe it. In fact, my best friend since a child was like, well, I didn't think you were really going to do it. He was.
That says it all.
Yeah, it certainly does. So I ended up being pretty decent deer, 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. Hey, is what it is. Great meat, got them cleaned up, chopped up, and I think I gave you the hearts, both of them.
I'm much obliged.
Yeah. So it was actually kind of. It was actually kind of like a surgery team. I got done taking out the tenderloins and like Dr. Byrne, and he comes over and removes them, and it was good. So
I wish I got paid like a heart surgeon. I am
officially on the board this season with 2. I probably want 3 more if I had to guess. So we'll see what happens. I think if I can get a big body buck, I'll probably take it down to about need about 2, but instead of 3. But we'll see. So yeah,
it's nice to have that possibility.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a little frozen, but we'll just keep on going.
Oh, it's not too cold in here. I don't understand why.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
You literally go, it's nice to like, and I was like, yeah. And it happened again.
Oh, geez.
We have to edit this part out.
Well, I don't know. I may leave it. It's kind of funny, I guess. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, well, your connection is unstable thing came up, so it's
okay. Well, there it goes again.
Oh, damn it! God.
Yeah, you look like that Saturday morning '80s cartoon guy who's like, yeah.
I guess it's my turn for have bad internet now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean that's what else? I guess a couple other guys shot deer too. That later the next day.
Yep.
It was a pretty bloody weekend.
No, it really was. But we put a bunch of good management deer on the ground. A couple of does too. Could have done a few more, but no, it's overall can't.
I should have contributed at least 2, but
yeah, well, that's okay. That's okay. You had a genuine excuse. No, it was good. I tell you the one thing I will admit for the fans of our duck hunter fans, it was a rough weekend. God, it was frustrating. Saturday morning we got up. I did not get up Friday morning. I did not get up Saturday morning, or excuse God bless it. Did not get up Sunday morning because they had too many libations the night before. But Saturday morning it was cold. I mean, it was in the high 30s, and we actually had a little bit of wind. And I had a great decoy spread, ton of birds in there, and we were camoed head to toe, and they just would not give us a look. It was very frustrating. Thank God we had some teal come in. I love those teal, and unfortunately they're kind of a glutton for punishment when it comes to that. They'll just kind of land anywhere. And it's funny, the area that we're hunting for ducks, it's like a big pool. It's where they want to be. I mean, just walking through it, the duckweed, the smartweed, and all that kind of stuff in there is incredible. And when we leave, an hour later, they're having parties, popping kegs. It's unbelievable. But man, something that we did, they did not like. So, by mid to late December, I normally put out a dozen decoys. I normally cut that back to about 6. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I also had a jerk string rig out there, which is basically it's a piece of like flexible cord is basically what it is, and you've got a stake in the water, and it's got decoys on it, and you pull it, and they kind of move. Of course, my friends were commenting that it was the jerk rig that was scaring everything. I made comments that they're idiots. And if it weren't for said jerk rig, I don't know if we had anything even looking at us. So I don't know what it is. I got to figure it out because duck season's over, and still got basically 2 months. But anyway, yeah, was kind of frustrating. We did jump a couple of tanks, and that was fantastic. So, and I guess another little tip, if you've got a hunting lease that's got multiple stock tanks out there, just because the birds aren't working on one tank doesn't mean they aren't working on the other. So do your scouting. Not really. Yeah, you're scouting. If there's got water, you're gonna have ducks, right? Most of the time, but as far as where can you park, where can you set up, making blinds, out of the natural foliage and whatnot. We've got a lot of cedar trees. They're perfect canopies. And it kills me because, out of the, 7 or 8 available tanks that we've got that hunt, I've only prepped little blinds and only like 2 of them. It's ridiculous. So I've actually got a reminder on my Outlook calendar in February and March, go secure duck hunting spots. You will love yourself for it later. So, but other than that, it was a great weekend. Oh, Tech won, thank God. So what are we? 4 and forever. We barely beat Owen.
Yeah, they had more points than lowly Kansas, but
yeah. We barely beat Owen 12, Owen 11 Kansas. Well, now they are
something. Yeah,
awful. God. So our heart goes out to the Red Raiders, Texas Tech Red Raiders, and of course all their fan base. It's been a rough couple of years, folks. Hopefully the good old days are coming back. We'll not gonna hold my breath. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I would not hold your breath, but
no.
As you say, baseball season might come.
Oh my God!
This year,
yeah, Texas
maybe.
Yeah. Unless that gets canceled, were we 15-1? They're like, yeah, Jim, this Texas Tech baseball team could beat the Yankees. I'm like, oh my God, great! The Volta canceled.
I wonder what they're gonna do. What's gonna happen?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't mind if everybody just forfeits, just lets us win.
So you want the asterisk next to
it? No asterisk. Hey, listen. When I was a kid, I would use cheat codes. I don't care. I just want the W.
Yeah, I love the Game Genie.
So great.
Yeah, that was fun.
So great. Yeah. Cheat codes were the best. My little brother's like, to the effect of, don't you get any satisfaction of like, no. I just want to win, and I don't want to die. That's the way it works. And I want all guns and all lives, and I want big heads on all my enemy opponents. Yeah. So I like, yep.
All right. Well, what else happened, or do we need to talk about? Let's see. Your dad got some pigs, didn't he? Again.
Yep. They got some sveins.
Don't you have some videos that you're gonna put together?
Yeah. I've got, yes, for those of you all, the 5 or 6 people that no, there's actually a lot more than that. That follow the YouTube channel. I owe you a lot of videos. I actually switched computers, and it's new. I've still got to learn it, but yes, I'm going to make a lot of videos. My father has got a thermal scope, and golly, I'll tell you, if you've got a legit pig problem, which we don't because we're not farmers, but we like to think we are, and so that's why we wake up at all times of night to shoot hogs. But I'll tell you, a cellular game camera that will alert you to when there's action at your feeder, and a thermal scope you won't. I'm not going to say you'll even the odds, okay, but you will definitely the pendulum will definitely
in your favor.
For sure. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, I mean that was definitely 2 fun weekends, at least that I was part of. You were there for a lot longer.
Yep.
I'm glad you're still able to, speak English coherently after being down there for so long.
I'll tell you, that Sunday from Thanksgiving when we got back, I was speaking in tongues, and just, I showered, but not often. So when the water hit me, I'm like, you could hear the fight between my rigid hair and and the shower water, man. And
the water just rolls off your hair like like duck feathers, right?
Yeah, just shedding water. And then sleep. And there was no. What I did was not sleep. I think I did die.
Yeah.
My CPAP mess kept me alive till the next morning. Because I remember waking up, I'm like, I'm so stiff because I didn't roll over.
That was me this morning, actually.
Really? Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, I was pretty whooped. I think I put, as Julie said, my wife says, putting the mask on. Actually, right about now is when I put it on last night, and I was done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I went to another world. I was so tired.
That's great. Yeah, it's great.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to thank everybody for listening to this episode and coming back and listening to all of them. We really appreciate you folks out there, our loyal listeners.
Yes.
If you're new to the show, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoy our hunting discussions here, and you hopefully you learn something, or if we mention something that you disagree with, or you have a different opinion on how we do things, we always love to get feedback from other folks about about how you guys go and hunt and
definitely
go about and enjoying the greatness that is hunting, if you will. Let us know. I mean, we're always open to learning new ways and new methods of being successful out in the field.
For sure.
And we love to see your hunting picks and your successes. So
yep.
Be sure to check us out on all our social media pages. We're pretty active on there. The old Corn Bandit posts a lot of good stuff on there, especially the Instagram at Feed Bandit. So good stuff there. And you mentioned our YouTube channel. Go there. You can get to all these areas by just going to feedbandit.com. Easily getting there via our links. And with that, don't have anything else. You got anything else?
That's about it, my friends. Appreciate y'all listening to us, and we got more coming your way.
Awesome. After you guys listen to this, if you're not on the email list, please go to feedbandit.com and join the cause. We'd really appreciate it. So with that, we'll see you on the next episode of the Feed Bandit Podcast. Y'all take care. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one. And remember, support your local feed store.